Hi, Young Show. Welcome to Parental Vision podcast.
What's up, T? How you?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm pretty good, blessed.
Blessed and highly favored.
Of course.
Happy to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So obviously you're here because you're a father.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about your kids. How many do you have?
I have two boys. Well, they young men now, but I have a 15, almost 16-year-old and a 19-year-old.
Oh my goodness. They're men.
Yeah. I started early.
Yeah. How old were you when you started?
17 going on 18.
Oh wow. So is it safe to say not planned?
Nah, I wasn't playing. At that age, I was dating older women, though, so it was like, It wasn't playing for me, but who's to say?
Really? So you liked older women?
Of course. Well, it depends. I'm a little older now, but at that age, of course.
Okay. So when you first found out you were going to be a father, what were those initial emotions like?
When I first found out, I was surprised, a little nervous, going through the motions, but that's one thing I was always brought up on is you handle your responsibilities, so you got to roll with the punches and step up.
Okay, and what were some of the ways that you got ready?
Some of the ways I got ready, it was kind of different for me because I actually went through a lot of trials and tribulations as a teenager. I was in a lot of shit. So pretty much 2 weeks after my oldest son was born, I had just got out of juvenile.
Oh, wow.
So it was like the preparation wasn't as intense because I wasn't there for like the hospital stuff. I was actually in the cell.
How did that make you feel?
It kind of was like different for me because I didn't know what to expect coming home or whatever. And like I said, prior to that, I was in so much shit that by the time I actually came home, it was just like a whole different atmosphere. And it made me realize like a lot of the shit I was doing before that, I had to change it up.
And you immediately just put a stop to it, or did it take a little bit of time?
That shit, it'll make you grow up fast.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I became a mom at 21, so I totally understand.
Yeah.
What were some of the childhood troubles that you got into growing up? And how come?
Most of it was like, typical teenage shit. Like, we was ripping and running. I did music at an early age, like from high school. We was touring, like, as soon as I got out of high school, we did big college parties. Like, the biggest college party was in Connecticut. Then from there, it was just like, we got into a lot of fights. We was making a lot of money. We had a lot of groupies. It was all type of shit. So it just was also like where I grew up in Hartford and Manchester. So it was like I was back and forth a lot. So with the crew of dudes I hung with, we all were like fly as hell, and we all like had long ass braids. So it was like a lot of places we went, we was tested. So it was more like you got to stand on business with, if shit come our way, it's like, yo, you got to handle that shit so the rest of the people know not to really try you like that. So like a lot of times it was more like not us starting trouble, but us just in our own element, just, making sure that everybody around us was safe.
Understood. And somehow you got caught up.
Yeah, I ended up getting caught up, but what I ended up getting caught up for wasn't even something I did.
Really?
It was more something that somebody else did and I got blamed for, but what I actually did at the time was more severe. So I'm like, this don't seem like too big of a deal, so let me just roll with this instead of dealing with what I could have been dealing with. But then when it came down to it, it was actually my first time catching like a real case. Well, the case wasn't even real, but my charge was real. They charged me with assault second. So when I caught the case, I'm thinking it's not even that serious because the shit they had me for was something that I was nowhere around, and it wasn't that violent, but I guess somebody ended up getting hurt behind it. So when that happened, I'm like, all right, they ain't gonna really do too much with this. They like this light. But I guess because the person ended up getting hurt and had to get surgery
Yeah.
behind it, they made a big deal about it. But it was my first case, so my mom didn't really know too much what to do with it. So pretty much I didn't have a lawyer because I had a public defender, and they was telling them like, oh, he just gonna get probation, this, that. It's not a big deal. And then they like, yeah, just have him plead guilty under the Alfred docket, and they not really gonna make a big deal. And then the next thing you know, it's time for me to get sentenced, and they like, yeah, 18 months.
You were misguided.
Yeah.
How did your mother take that?
My mom was kind of like heartbroken, but it wasn't really her. It was more. That's where me and my father formed a stronger bond.
Let's talk about that.
Because it's like growing up, I'm the oldest of 6.
Okay.
So I have 5 siblings. I have 3 sisters, 2 brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Growing up, it was more like, my father was in the streets. He did a lot of stuff. So there was a point in time where he was away for a minute. So like my mom raised us for the most part, and during that time it was like, that's when more so like we was more so outside and amongst the neighborhood. And me and my brother, we had like a lot of friends, like everybody in the neighborhood we was cool with, so it was all love. But then it was like everything was different when he came home, because now he missed so much time. It was more like he was firmly trying to guide us. But you know how that is when you're a teenager, you don't understand the lessons he's trying to teach us or whatever.
Yeah.
So when that was like that, it was like me and my brother, we didn't get the lessons that was being taught to us or whatever. But like my mom kind of like made us understand it. But fast forward, by the time he came back, it was around the time, like a little before I caught the case. Well, I caught the case when I was 16.
Okay.
And I caught the case at 16, and I was on pace to graduate high school. So basically they spun me and was like, you know what, we're going to give you continuous. We want to see you graduate high school. But in reality, because I had the public defender, they was like, we want to see you graduate high school, but they was waiting until I was an adult.
To charge you as an adult.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now by the time that I had to go in, I was already 18. So they hit me with a felony. So basically I had to go do that. But being that I caught the case when I was a juvenile, they still sent me to juvenile prison. And being that it wasn't long enough, they was like, we could just send them to juvenile prison. So I went to Little Cheshire. I went to NYI in Little Cheshire. But I was there for a while. But back to the court. So now we in the court, and I go to the sentencing, and I find out that I can get sentenced for 18 months. So now my mom doesn't even know what to do, because she basically coached me into saying I'm guilty because the public defender told her that's the best thing to do. And as a mom, she didn't really know how to handle it.
Yeah.
Now, up until this part, my dad wasn't as active in the case, because the public defender basically was just telling my mom like, oh, he'll be fine, it's just probation. So he'd like, I don't got nothing to worry about, he'll be good. So now he just come to make sure everything was what it was at sentencing. So we get to the sentencing, and they sentenced me to 18 months. So when that happened, like, he just flipped out, and he just spazzed on the public defender like, yo, you told us he was gonna get probation, like, what is this, that? And then next thing you know, like, they just took me in the back, and she just was crying. And that's how that went. But that was the first time that I actually understood my dad, because prior to that, it used to seem like a lot of the time he was just complaining about shit that wasn't a big deal, and I never understood it, and we bumped heads a lot. But then that day, it made me see like, yo, like, he really got my back.
And he really loved you.
Yeah.
But you felt like before he was a little too hard on you.
Not even too hard. It just, the stuff he would do didn't make sense. Like, like how they tell you, your parents know who are not your friends before you do.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. So it'd be times where, like I said, the whole neighborhood was cool with us. So we literally get out of school. We literally get out of school and there's like 20 bikes in our yard. And we all in the yard playing basketball. And, he would just pull up to the house and kick everybody out the yard. Like randomly, like, yo, y'all all got to get up out of here. And,
I see.
But like I told you prior to this been going on for years now where there's 20 bikes in the yard. We all cool. But he wasn't around because he got locked up. So now that he's back around, it's such a drastic change. And my mom is like co-signing it. Like whatever he says, she like, I'm not going to question it because we boys.
Right.
You get what I'm
and
saying?
That's your father.
Yeah. So now it's like we coming back around to it. And me and my brother, we not used to it because we like, yo, these dudes been around for the past few years, whatever. Like,
and you haven't.
Yeah. But it's like not just that he hasn't, but more so it's like he's kicking them out because he like, I don't know them like that.
Yeah.
You feel me? And as time went on, it got better.
And
then, like I said, there was more stuff with us with like, well, I could speak for me. Like, there's more stuff with me that I went through. I started maturing to where we got more of an understanding.
Understood.
And me and him never had an argument or a fight after that.
When you went to...
After jail. Before I went to jail, we used to bump heads all the time.
Wow. So in hindsight, you going away, are you guys closer?
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
It's not even that it brought us close. It did bring us closer. You're right. But it was more, I understood. Like prior to that, I used to feel like he don't fuck with me like that. Oh. You feel me? And it wasn't.
So did you have resentment towards your father?
It's not that I had resentment. What it was at a young age, he basically came into my life. Like this is my sibling's biological father.
Oh. Okay.
So, but this is the only man that I knew as a father because I haven't interacted with my biological father since I was like 2 years old. So it was like, I got so now when my mom started dealing with him, I have a whole new family that from a little ass baby that, I'm going over my dad's parents' house and I have a whole set of cousins, that's my age and, all my new family and they're all Jamaican and I'm not. So when I'm there, it's heavy accent Jamaican not with the kids, the kids is the kids. Like we are the kids.
Right.
But like with my grandparents, with his mom and father, especially his father, it's like the accent is heavy. So like it took me time to warm up to it because all the other kids, as soon as they speak, they get it right away because they're used to it. Me, I'm sitting there like a deer in headlights, like, so they looking at me like I'm a little slow, like I'm not.
Really?
I'm not, because I'm not catching on to what.
But you're just
saying.
A kid though. So.
No, but it's not that. It wasn't what they were saying that I didn't get. It was the accent.
Understood. Yeah.
So I couldn't really understand what they were saying at first. And then over the years, it'd be like my cousins will help me out with it and be like, like he said this or she said that or whatever. And after a while, like I just became fluent at understanding it. So like I caught on and I fit in and we all grew up together and everything was good with that. So then it was like, as we got older, you feel me? It's like I said, I'm the oldest out of my siblings. So it's like we all kind of like fit in and mesh well with each other.
That's beautiful. So you have a good relationship with your siblings?
I do.
Even like currently today?
Yes.
Oh, that's good. I want to switch gears for a second. Tell me about your sons. First of all, what are their names?
My sons are Shamik is the oldest and Sarai is the youngest.
I like those names.
But I call them Shamik. We call Rao, and Sarai we call Juju.
That's cute. I love that.
Like,
Which one of your boys are exactly like you, and how are they different from each other?
neither.
Neither one of them are like you?
They both like me, but okay. Juju, Sarai, the younger one, growing up was my twin. Right? Rao or Shamik is more like me because I was more hands-on with raising him than I was able to be with Sarai. But throughout the years, like to this day, Sarai lives with me. And for a while, they both lived with me.
And what changed that?
Rao's just older now, so he's ready to be on his own and do his own thing. But
And how do you feel about that? Proud dad moment?
yeah, in a way, yeah. But then it's like, it's times where it's like he goes through his stuff where it's like he feel like he got everything figured out, and it's like he wants to be like me so much, but he won't listen to the game that I'm giving him. So it's like it scares me, but I'm happy for him that he wants to be independent and grow up.
Yeah.
But it scares me because there's stuff in this world that I know he'd be better prepared for if he listened to.
What are some of the things that you feel like he'd be better prepared for if he listened to you?
He right now he's at the age where he's 19, so he's chasing like the nightlife, and because of where he works, he's in perfect position to be around like grown people, and him being around grown people doesn't bother me because I've instilled enough in them to where he understands what's right and what's wrong.
Yeah.
But he's also still like young, so it's like he's still able to be influenced and get involved in shit that me at that age wish I knew better. But when I tell him, it's like he don't want to hear that shit, just like any teenager.
So you were honest with your son about your past?
Yes, he knows.
Was that hard to talk about? How did the conversation come about?
It wasn't hard to talk about for me. It was more. It wasn't, and it came about because like he had reached a point where he started messing up. This is prior to him graduating. He started messing up because he was chasing stories that he heard about me, where he like, but that everywhere I go, I keep hearing you was this way, you was that way, but you don't talk to me about none of that stuff. And I'm like, yo, like the stuff you're asking me to talk to you about is all like stuff that happened before I matured. Like that's not what you should be trying to be like. You get what I'm saying? So like for a while he didn't understand it. Then he ended up getting into some trouble. He didn't catch no cases, thank God. He didn't catch nothing like that. But they ended up like getting into some trouble and stuff, and had to really talk to him. Like he like, but Dad, why are you telling me not to do this and you did this as a kid? So I'm like, yo, the stuff I dealt with, I had no choice but to do the stuff I did. Like I already set you up to be great. Like the time once my son turned 18, my son already had a 760 credit score.
Awesome.
Yeah, like I already set him up to do all that shit. Like, but it's just shit that like he wouldn't understand. Like I set him up, he got a 760 credit score. He opened up a LLC, like shit like that. Like
that's awesome.
You feel me? Like it was just stuff that I realized at a young age that I didn't know about growing up.
What triggered you to want to get in gear and do that for your son? Because a lot of parents haven't done that.
Because I realized, like I said, early, I went to prison, and then I came home and, turned everything around. And when I started doing that, I realized, like, okay, now the first car I went to buy. I went and bought a car. It wasn't too much, so, I saved up, bought it cash. Now, of course, because it wasn't so much, within like a few years, it was time for me to go get another car. So now I'm like, okay, this time I want to get a newer car. I done saved up more money. It's time to go get a newer car. When I went to go get the newer car, I kept getting denied because I didn't have the credit. Nobody ever talked to me about credit because my parents weren't big on credit like that. Like, they were used to, like, my dad was in the streets, so they was used to, we got the money. So it's like the credit being passed down to us wasn't a big deal. So now I'm at a point where I'm like, the cars that I really want, I need credit.
Right.
So then once I figured out how to build my credit up or whatever, I realized, like, this is not something that I want my kids to get older and then have to run into the same bump in the road. So I was like, how is a way that I could establish them credit before they even in this situation? So once my son turned 16, he asked me to put him in driver school and all that shit. So I put him in driver school, and I'm like, yo, it's only a matter of time before he gonna ask for a car, he gonna ask for a license, all this shit. So I'm like, all right, let me set it up. So I start building his credit with mine. Like, I basically, and this is something a lot of people don't know. And I found out.
Educate us, please.
I found out basically by experimenting with it because I seen it one day randomly. I was just playing with the features of my credit card. So what you do is basically you, at say about 16, you link your children to your credit cards. So if you link them to your credit cards and you pay all your credit cards on time, by the time they turn 18, they have great credit scores.
Absolutely.
So that's basically what I did with him. And by the time he turned 18, he was all set.
And you did that for your other son as well, I'm sure.
I did it but see, this is the thing. My other son reaped the benefits of it because I was experimenting with my older son.
Right.
I did them both at the same time.
Oh, wow.
So my other son is 3.5 years younger. So his been there from the time he was probably maybe like 13, 14.
Yeah, so his is up there.
Yeah.
Good job, Dad.
But he doesn't even know it.
Oh, yeah, don't tell him.
He don't know that.
You can't tell him yet.
Yeah.
Because then who knows what they'll do with it.
And what I did is, like, when you link them to the credit card, they send you credit cards in their name. But what I did, I just held on to them and never gave them to them.
Right.
So then when my oldest son turned 18, randomly we had a conversation, and he was like, I seen him like getting ready to leave the house, and he like pretty much he about to go down to the bank. I'm like, what you going to the bank for? And he like, oh, I'm about to see if I could get a credit card. And I'm like, you already got a credit card. He like, huh? So when you link them to it, they send you credit cards in the kid's name.
Right.
But I chose to not give him the credit card because I didn't want him to make a mistake. So I'm like, I'm not going to give it to him until he fully understand how to use the credit card.
Yeah.
So when I did that, right before I did that, he was about to go sit down with the bank and talk about how he could get a credit card. So I'm like, yo, you don't even got to do that. Like, your credit card right here. And then he like, damn, that's crazy. So now I give him the credit card, but before I do that, I tell him, like, this is how we going to do this. I'm going to baby you so you understand the concept of this, right? For now, do not use your credit card unless you had the cash. Yeah. Now, if you go, I said, for now, just use your credit card for little stuff. Like, if you want to go get gas for your car or you want to pay your phone bill, that's it. I said, but when you do that, already had the cash, use it, and within 2 weeks, bring me the money. So he did that, and he consistently did it, and I was like, okay, he ready. So I gave him his credit card, and he used it. He didn't use it too many times, and then before you know it, he opened up his LLC and got his own credit card.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good job, Dad.
Thank you.
More parents could resonate with that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's going to go viral. I know it is. So I want to ask you a little bit more about your past for a second. Do you feel like if you didn't go to juvie, you would have reached the level of maturation that you've reached now?
The juvie didn't do it.
You don't think so?
No.
What do you think? Did it just becoming a father, period, or what?
Yeah. When I came home, everything was different. Like, even my boy that I came here with today, like, we met in college, right? Right after I came home from juvie, my aunt, her name is Versi, but we call her Auntie Nay. Soon as I came home from juvie, she just wanted to see me win, and she didn't want to see me like in trouble and stuff. So as soon as I came home, she signed me up for community college at Manchester Community. I graduated from Manchester High. So for me, Manchester Community was like 13th grade all over again. So she signed me up for school there, and when she signed me up, like she picked me up, and I went to go pick out my classes. She like picked 2 classes. I picked 2 classes, which the 2 classes was, everything came hand in hand, because when I went to juvie, like I said, they waited till I graduated to go to juvie. So I was in vocab classes in juvie because I couldn't do GED program. I already had a diploma. So when I went to juvie, for me to get out the cell, I'm like, yeah, sign me up for vocab classes, whatever. Then I seen they had something called, I want to say it was like a workshop type program. But when we went in the workshop program, there was this one kid in there who came from like, it was like he did like, I don't know, he did like a dumbass crime, but ended up getting locked up. But, you know, he came from like a wealthy family. So like when we go to the vocab class, they got like Apple computers. And it's like when Apple computers first started, but he already has one at the house. So we go in there and he's teaching us stuff that is like, I'm like, yo, this shit mad useful, because at the time I already did music and shit. So now we go in there and he teaching me how to basically make album covers, because he knows how to do graphic and use Photoshop and stuff. So I'm looking like I could use this when I go home. So I really got into it. So now when I go with my aunt to pick the classes, they have graphic design. So I'm like, I'm kind of familiar with this. Let me sign up for this.
Yeah.
So I signed up for that. My first 2 classes, I ended up making the dean's list. So, but I made the dean's list because, like I said, I watched her pay like $1,500 cash and be like I didn't get no financial aid, because when I came home, it was too late for financial aid. So it was because I missed the fall semester, so I came home for spring semester. So she signed me up. So she telling me what it is. I watch her pay the money. I'm like, damn, like I ain't never watched nobody spend $1,500 on me and just believe in me. So I'm like, I can't mess up her money. Like, I'm gonna take it serious.
Yeah.
So go to school. I get A's in both classes. So now the next semester is lit, because next semester is when I get financial aid, and they like, you on the dean's list. So now that's when they like, when you get the refund checks, it's like they giving me, not just me, but a few of my friends, we getting like probably like $1,500 to $2,500 each semester if you're on the dean's list and stuff. So we getting that money. And probably, but back to the parenting. So now I'm going to school, like I told you. I had mine young, so like I'm one of the only ones my age with a kid. So I remember going to school and my boy out there. I show up with my son, but it was a day I didn't have class. I didn't have class this day.
You went to college with your son?
Yes. So I brought him up there with me because I had him for the day. So I'm like, all right, I don't got class today, but I'm about to go up there. I was in like work studies where like I had like a job at the college. So I'm like, let me go up here, go get my check from the college. And I had him, so I went up there. So I go up there. There's like a group of my friends, like, you know, chilling in the lobby. And my friends looking at me. They're like, yo, how old is your nephew? And I'm like, this is not my nephew. And they looking at me like, you got kids?
Wow.
And I'm like, yeah, feel me? So it was like, it was a little different for me. So it like kind of like helped me like, help me like slow down with the wild shit I was doing, because I'm like, it ain't just me now. Like, I gotta make sure he good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So how were you able to maintain your career in music and also balance being a father to both your boys at the same time?
At that time, it was when it first started, I only had one son.
Okay.
And at that time, me and their mom was still together. So it wasn't really too much about having a balance because she understood that I was doing the music and she seen the level that I was doing it at. So it wasn't really about me having a balance. It was more like when you got time, make sure you're there. But for me, like I said, because of me growing up with the void at first, it was more like I refused to not be there. So it's like a lot of the times, she didn't really have to worry about that.
That's
So
beautiful.
it was just hand in hand.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What are some of the mistakes that you've made as a parent that you wish you can correct?
I made a lot of mistakes.
At least you're
as a
honest.
parent. I mean, let me think. What's some of the mistakes? Um, some of the mistakes usually be like not being as hands on as you should be.
Mm-hmm.
Which, like, as I got older, like I started learning that. So like with my sons, like I would help coach their sports teams. So it'd be more like it opened my eyes to like the other kids also who don't have father figures in their life. Because I remember when I was growing up and my dad was locked up, it was like the ones who made a difference for me was like my uncles or my grandfather, or if not them, it was like sports coaches. So I realized how important that was to like be hands on and make sure the kids know like, yo, you ain't got to do this to follow this trend or to fit in this group, or like a lot of kids are just missing discipline, and the discipline don't necessarily have to be physical, but
Right.
just some type of structure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree. I believe kids need structure.
Yeah,
So how do you discipline your kids?
it depends what they do.
Okay. What's a total like deal breaker? You're grounded. You're done. I don't even want to talk about it. Me, it's if you lie to me.
For me, it's definitely lying. Like I can't take that because I'm the type of parent, not even parent, but I'm the type of person where 9 times out of 10, if I'm asking you something, I already know.
I already know. Yeah.
You feel me? But you know how kids are. Kids are going to try you because they feel like,
We don't know nothing.
yes, they feel like what they going through, you too old to know. Where what you done as a child is 10 times worse than that. So it's like you overstand it.
Yeah. So,
I would be talking to them, and for me, the deal breaker is lying to my face.
yes.
That or my kids, like I told you, my son had a 760 credit score at 18. So it's like for you to ever take something from me without just asking me for it, that pisses me off. Like, I would say that and the disrespect. It's those 3.
Well, that's my next question. Have they say like your kids try you, like they test the waters. Has your sons ever like?
Yeah.
They have?
Of course.
Can we talk about that? Tell me that.
Not
story.
my younger son. My younger son hasn't.
Because he probably saw the repercussions of the first one and was like, never mind.
Yeah, but see, the difference is, right, my older son is smaller than my younger son. But the difference is, like you said, like, all that changes when you work out.
Yes.
So now, like, what I would do is, like, okay, like, say I got into it with my oldest son. Okay, it's time to go to the gym. Now, when he see what I'm benching at the gym or how many push-ups I'm doing, and he telling me, or how many burpees, and he like, yo, Dad, I can't do no more. Nah, you tough. Guy, you got it. You feel me? Like, you could do what I could do. So now, once he see that, it's like, nah, I don't really want to fight that. You feel me?
Smart move.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah.
Stuff like that. Like, I realized, like, this era is not like how it was when I grew up, where...
Tell me how it's different.
Because nowadays, you got to be more of a gentle parent.
You believe in gentle parenting?
I don't, but it just is what it is. I believe in gentle parenting to an extent, but I believe in tough love also. But I'm learning that the tough love is forming more of a disconnect than an understanding nowadays.
I agree 100%. Tough love didn't work for me.
Yeah.
So.
Because it's like, but I also understand the world that we living in now where, okay, example, us as kids, right?
Yeah.
Basically, you know how they say it takes a village to raise kids.
Yeah.
Us growing up as kids would be like, we could go up and down the street all day long and it won't be a problem because of, let's say, me and you are friends as kids, right? Mm-hmm. I could go, let's say you live about 4 blocks down the road, right? I could walk to your house, ride bikes to your house, whatever the case may be. But in between there's so many parents that my parents and your parents know that, let's say if I decide to do something stupid, like let's say I decide to be standing in the middle of the street or anything, right? Back in our day, 9 times out of 10, the parents would be like, you know, you're not supposed to be doing that. I'm gonna tell your mother, and you like, oh damn, that's really my mom's friend. Like,
don't tell my mother.
I got caught. Yeah. You fear that. Nowadays, it's like the parents had kids so young, and stuff like TikTok and the tablets are raising the kids, and the parents are so ignorant now. It's like you could be friends with, or not even friends, but you could be peers with that parent, but you go tell her like, yo, I caught your son or your daughter doing this, and they like, well, you need to mind your business.
Yeah, they're not receptive. Yeah.
It's like, why are you worried about my kid? And it's like when we was kids, it's like if my mom friend caught us doing something,
we
even if
trouble.
she put hands on us, it's like my mom's still gonna yell at us because we know we shouldn't have been doing that. But nowadays it ain't like that no more. So I try to teach them everything that they need to know, but you know, some stuff they get, some stuff they don't.
That was gonna be another thing to touch on. What are some of the morals that you try to instill in your boys?
The biggest thing is what I try to instill in them, because I only have boys. But don't get me wrong, I only have boys, but I have a gang of nieces and nephews.
Okay.
Yeah. My sister has 2 daughters and 2 sons.
Oh, okay.
So I'm familiar with the little girls too, and it's different morals, right? Okay, so I explain this to you, and this is something that I don't tell many people.
Okay, you know what? Let me fix myself. I'm a little nervous now. Go ahead.
It goes by, no matter what you are, what I like to call it, and I learned this from my boy. One of my boys put me onto this. Every kid deserves to know the 7 B's. And the 7 B's are different depending on if you're a little boy or a little girl.
Well, elaborate. Talk to me.
For the little girls, the 7 B's are books before boys, because boys bring babies.
Say that again, please.
It's books before boys, because boys bring babies.
I love that.
And then the one for boys is a little more harsh.
Say what you gotta say.
It's books before bitches, because bitches be broke.
Oh. Oh my God. Okay.
Either you go get it one way or the other. And once you instill that in them, most get it.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay. So you say that to your boys.
I have.
Do they listen?
Yes. For the most part, they have. I mean, you know, they have their episodes where they venture out and got to find out for themselves.
Absolutely.
But I'm also the parent, too, who's not really naive to it. Like I said, being that I had my oldest son at a young age, like, I spoke to my sons early about, like, birth control and all that shit.
What was that conversation like? Was it hard to talk about sex with your kid? No?
No. It might have been harder if they were girls.
I was going to say that. Do you think it would be harder if it was a girl?
Yeah, for me, no, because I feel like they need to know. And nowadays, to be honest, I'm finding that little girls are faster than the boys. In our day, it was the boys were faster.
Yeah.
But now it's When they were kids, like I go through their phone and see little girls talking to them crazy, and I'm like, yeah, y'all need to know
What's going
stuff.
on.
And my youngest son got it early because it was time for my oldest son, and I'm like, I'm not doing this twice, so both of y'all come here.
And were you, like my mom, when the word she would say is, I'm going to keep it raw and real with you. Were you raw and real, or did you say birds and bees and storks and all that stuff?
Nah, I ain't do none of that. My parenting style more like Boosie, like it's straight to the point.
Straight
like,
out.
Ain't no sugarcoating. It ain't no way around this. Y'all gonna know what y'all need to know.
True, because the streets aren't going to sugarcoat it.
Yeah.
100%. I wanted to touch on child support.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on child support? Are you on child support? Are you still with either
I
one?
got an interesting story for that for
Okay,
you.
let's talk about it.
Child support. I feel like this about child support. Child support depends on the situation, right? I feel like this. I feel like no kid should be brought into this world without an agreement in the first place. But I also do feel like at the end, the women have the last say, and you can't tell a woman what to do with her body, so it's kind of hard. But I also feel like as far as child support, it depends what the child support is for. Now, if you have a guy, I feel like these are the only people, in my opinion, that deserve to be on child support. Is any parent who signed up for this and led you to believe that they wanted to be a parent. Well, not a parent, because women have no choice. But, I mean, they have all the choice to be a parent or not. But for men that are on child support, I feel like if they led you to believe they wanted to have a kid, and then now the kid comes and they don't take care of their responsibility and they not in the picture, by all means, they deserve to be on child support. Now, if they're active in a kid's life, then I don't feel like they deserve to be on child support, because I've literally watched people be on child support and be active fathers, all because the mother hasn't taken the steps to better themselves because they're using that as the excuse.
Well said.
Yeah.
Well said. I like that a lot.
Thank you.
So are you on child support?
No. Was I on child support? Yes.
Really?
Yes.
And was it merited?
No. Okay, with me, with the child support, it started like this. When I got on child support, I found out I was on child support because one of the CEOs slid the mail under my cell. Prior to me going to jail, because I went to jail twice. But this is the second time I went to jail. And the second time I went to jail, it pretty much was just me. I was with my friends, wrong place, wrong time, and one of my friends did something, and me just not saying nothing, we all had to go. So it was like basically me and my other friend was sitting there waiting for basically him to confess for his crime, which he already did when we got arrested, but it had to be documented in court, so we all had to sit there. So as that happened, I get a letter slid under my cell, which I didn't even know I was on child support at all, because prior to going to jail, I had my kids all the time, took care of my kids, their mom took care of them too, like it was mutual, but we weren't together. But at some point, like I guess she decided she needed help, so she put me on child support without me knowing. But this was after we had the second son. So now when I got put on child support, I got the letter slid under my cell, and I open it, I'm looking. That shit's at $15,000.
What?
For rearage. So I look at it and I'm like, yo, this can't be for real. Now, if anybody knows, I don't know if you know, but when you're in prison, when it's like not like a criminal case, they kind of reluctant to send you to court. So now I'm not going to court for none of this. So basically, she got granted everything she asked for at this time. As she got granted for this, I'm figuring out like how I'm gonna pay for this, whatever. By the time I end up coming home from prison, that shit ran up to like 23,000.
What?
Right. So now, luckily, the way I got out was, when I got out, we ended up doing a mediating thing, because when I got out, she ended up moving to Florida and getting married. She got married, moved to Florida, and took the kids to Florida. So I had to go through a whole process in court to bring my kids back to Connecticut. And that's when they ended up living with me, which we have joint custody of the kids. We co-parent, but they ended up living with me more so because they just got older at this time. So now it was more, I feel like she felt because they're boys, they could learn more from me. Like, it was a headache at first, but then, like, you know, we both matured, and she was like, all right, what y'all want to do? And most of their friends from sports were in Manchester, so they wanted to go to school in Manchester. So, I mean, they had friends in Hartford, too, but it just made more sense for them to go to school in Manchester because of the education, and they had a lot of friends there, so they ended up living with me. So, he lived with me. And then from there, we went to court and we agreed on 50-50 joint custody. So when we did that, basically they zeroed out my child support for like that day forward, but I still had to pay rearage. So I owed like 23,000. And at this time I was like, damn, like, I'm getting asked to go do shows overseas and all type of shit. And I'm like, I can't even leave the country because I got this child support. So the way I actually ended up getting out of it is the lawyer, Justin Freeman, actually helped me with that because I ended up getting in a car accident. So when I got a lawsuit, and my first one, they basically garnished it because they like, yo, you owe child support. And he talked to me about it, and I'm like, yo, that's cool with me. I'm trying to get a passport. So they took like probably like 11,000 from me. So I'm like, cool. So they put it towards that. Mind you, my child support has stopped already, so I'm like, it's cool. So now then, probably like a few months later, I end up getting somebody else hit me. So I'm like, okay. So I go back to him, and basically I got 2 lawsuits, and it basically paid off my child support, and I still got some money on top of that. So it was like, ever since then, like, I was straight with child support. And then, like I said, they live with me, so really wasn't an argument about child support.
So it all worked out in the end in your favor.
Yeah.
That's good. I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So with the way the world is today, obviously your boys are in school. Tell me, with the school shootings and the bullying and things like that, how do you send them to school and deal with that fear? Or do you just offset it and out of sight, out of mind?
I don't have that problem. I mean, I'm pretty sure it could happen either way because you can't pick and choose who does the shootings and stuff. But my kids never really been bullied because my younger son has an older sibling. Excuse me. And my older sibling has always been like social, and he's always been more advanced for his age. So it's like with both of them, they also are good in sports. So it's like they made a lot of friends playing sports already. So it's like by the time they was like really heavy in school, they didn't really have an issue with that.
You raised them well.
I try.
And you also,
it wasn't just me though, because I definitely had a lot of help. Like my mom, my grandparents, my siblings, they all helped.
so you had your own village.
Yeah, they all helped.
And you teach them not to bully as well.
Of course.
I think it's important for parents to also instill that in their kids too.
Yeah.
So I had to ask.
Yeah. Nah, we don't believe in bullying.
That's good. So your dating life, can I touch on that?
Of course.
Dating as a single father, what is that like?
Some people get it, some don't. Once you find somebody who understands it, then usually, you just build with them and take it day by day like anything else.
What are some of the things that you look for when dating a woman and possibly introducing her to your kids?
The kids part takes time.
Yeah.
Because for me, the most important thing when dating is meeting somebody who has a good heart. You gotta be a good person.
Yeah.
If you're not a good person, then everything else goes left.
Yeah.
So I look for that mostly, and then you look for certain morals and ethics and characteristics that you like. Okay, can you see this person being a positive figure in your kid's life? If so, then how? And do you see stuff they need to work on? Of course, but then at the same time, is it that big of a deal? Because even myself, I have stuff I got to work on. So it's like, like with dating, it's more, it has to be somebody who can teach me something and also has good intentions. You don't have to be able to teach me everything because there's stuff I'm gonna know more than others. But if we can't have a conversation and learn from each other's mistakes, then it's just not worth it.
You gotta have substance.
Yeah.
I agree. Well said. Well, are your boys dating? Do they date?
They do, but the difference is my oldest son, since he been little, like everybody tells him like, oh, he's so handsome, like, so he's like low key conceited.
Oh gosh.
He ain't gonna say it, but he low key like girls been attracted to him since he was little, right?
Oh boy.
My younger son went through his little phase where, during the pandemic where there wasn't no sports and stuff, so he had gained weight and got a little insecure, but then he lost the weight now. Like, it was part of his growth spurt because the doctor told us, like, once he hit his growth spurt, he gonna shoot up and be tall, he gonna lose all his weight or whatever. So that ended up happening. So now he's more confident now. But the difference is with my oldest son, let him tell it. I can ask him 1,000 times and he'll tell me he don't got a girlfriend. He not interested, none of that. But I know he does. Like, but see, the thing is, like I said, with my older son is being that I had him so young, it's like some of my younger friends kind of like look out for him. But it's not looking out, but it is in a way, because it's like, say like, he gets privileges that kids his age won't get. Whereas like some of my friends, like I said, we was heavy in nightlife. So like, let's say if they promoting at a strip club, he'll get let in because he my son. You get what I'm saying? Yes. So it's like a certain little stuff that he'll do, but he think I'm not seeing it. But of course I see it all because I know everybody that's doing the stuff around the way.
And you know your son.
Yeah. And then like my younger son, he'll let it be known when he got a girlfriend, but he'll be shy about it. Like, he'll be quiet about it, but he'll just let it be known that he got one. But that's not because of me. That's because of his aunts.
Yeah.
Because, like, at the time when I was locked up and dealing with all the court stuff, my sister with the kids, she used to go pick up my kids and bring them to spend time with my family and basically help raise them too. So it's like, they look at her as like another mother figure. So like if she questioned them about it, they get nervous and be like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like that.
If you didn't approve of your son's girlfriends, whoever they brought home, would you tell them, or would you be like, they just got to figure out they're not a good fit?
Yes, I tell them all the time.
Straight up.
Yeah.
Your face is so serious.
But my thing don't be I don't approve. It just be more like you could do better.
Oh, okay.
It's not like I'm telling you can't do that. Like, go ahead, do what you gonna do. Like, you gonna have to learn from your own mistakes. But like I said, with my older son, I never had that. It's more my younger son where, like I said, he went through his insecure phase. So it's like he's dealing with who he's dealing with. And I'm like, yo, like, and then now, as he started slimming down, getting more in shape, now he's like starting to see his potential and stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you want more children?
Do I want more children? I don't want no more kids unless I'm married.
I love that.
Because I don't want any more baby mamas. I only have one, and I only want one. If I do have more kids, I want a family. I don't just want kids.
Beautiful.
And I feel like a lot of women nowadays want the kids and not a family.
And not the family, yeah. You want a girl?
I don't know. My nieces is a lot. It's a lot. I mean, my mom has asked me for one, but I'm like, you got 4 other siblings with no kids. Why you want me to have another kid? Because my sister has 4 kids. I only had 2. But I'm like, I need some more money first, and I need...
Yeah, we got to get to the bag a little more. Yeah, because kids are expensive.
Yeah. Especially nowadays.
Yes.
Like, my sons asked me for the most expensive Christmas gifts. They asked me for, like, off-white Jordans and...
Oh, my.
All type of shit. So it's
well, they know you're going to come through. That's why.
They asked me for PS5s, and they asked for the most expensive shit. They don't sugarcoat that at all.
Well, I mean, look at what Daddy got on.
But
they want to be like you.
Hey, they could. They just got to do their job. For me, with the kids, their job always been, even when they wasn't able to work, to me, their work is get good grades. If you're going to play sports, do your best in sports and do your chores.
And they abide by that.
They try to, but it don't always work out that way.
I wanted to ask, how long does a punishment last in your house?
Punishment lasts until I'm not mad no more.
You serious?
Yeah. And until you do better.
I love that.
Yeah.
I'm going to take that out of your book because mine in my house, they last like 3 days. I got to do better.
Yeah, you got to do better.
Well, before we wrap, I want to say I really enjoyed talking to you.
Me too. I enjoy talking to you too.
Absolutely. But one more question.
Yep.
5 things that you feel make up a great father.
5 things that make up a great father. You can't be a great father without being present. You can't be a great father without teaching your kids everything you know. You can't be a great father without being honest. And you can't be a great father without providing. And you can't be a great father without setting your kids up to win.
That was some phenomenal answers. That probably was my favorite thus far.
Cool.
Well said. Thank you so much again for coming and sit down with me. Parental Vision, we appreciate you.
Thank you. Appreciate y'all too.
Absolutely. Well, that's a wrap for Parental Vision. Once again, I'm Tiana Caprice. Until next time, bye.